What's up, everybody? It is the Grand Cam, and we are back for a special episode. Now we usually do the Grand Male podcast. Now we are doing the Grand Lady podcast. So we have distinguished women who know what's up, women that know the truth, women that are here to help men become better men, and women that are ready to have men help them become better women. Right? It's a value exchange, and that's what all life is all about. That's one of the principles of life. So I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Rebecca Barrett. Rebecca, and I also call you Becca, so I'm going to call you Becca throughout the show,
Yeah,
but you also
Becca.
are known as Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you. Tell us how you feel. Like, how do you feel to seeing your subscriber count grow and who you are now? And there's so much things going on for you.
Yeah, life has been pretty crazy these last couple months, I would say. Um, I can't believe like 2 months ago, my YouTube had 3,000 subscribers, and now I'm at over 40K. So it's been a wild ride, and I'm also pregnant, so I'm feeling all of the all of the feelings. And we were just talking about it before the show. I'm like, I've had a migraine all day, so
Sorry
this
about
is
that. There we go.
this is just
Uh-huh.
it's just been my life lately.
I love it. I love it. I mean, Becca, you certainly deserve a lot of. Actually, I've been taking notes on how you've been running your YouTube stuff because my YouTube channel is not nearly as big as yours. I hope that one day it will become as big as yours. And even the little details of like the subscriber little thing that pops up, I'm like, damn, this girl's so good. She has all this stuff like already on in check. So that's what got me. That's what got me intrigued of actually reaching out to you because I'm like, damn, this girl is actually on her stuff. Like she knows what she's doing with the YouTube stuff. And more importantly, not just like the glitz and the glamour of your channel, but your content, your message. It's so important. That's
Yeah.
what it was. So I want to give a quick background of how I reach out to Becca, and then Becca, go ahead and give your a little short introduction about yourself. Like, and I'll tell you when to go in just a moment. So I was driving, doing a delivery for my job, as some of you guys know. I am a restaurant owner, and sometimes I got to do deliveries. So when I do deliveries, I like to just listen to music or go on YouTube and watch some of this like self development stuff. Fresh and Fit podcast is a very famous podcast in Miami right now. You probably have heard of them for all the negative things that they've been going through, or maybe they changed your life and they impacted you significantly. So now you're living a great life because of Fresh and Fit podcast. Whatever has happened, you have probably heard about Fresh and Fit. Now, I watched a video of a woman who has short hair and talked about Fresh and Fit, and her name is Becca. And I see Rebecca Barrett, and I look, I really want to know what's going on with this girl right now. I bet you she's going to talk shit about Fresh and Fit. She's probably going to think that like, Fresh and Fit are misogynist or whatever. But I want to know what's her message? What is she talking about? Shout out to Arlene in the chat. It's my
Hey,
birthday, but I'm here.
Arlene.
Hey, happy birthday, Arlene.
Happy birthday.
So and then I remember I started hearing Becca speaking, and I'm just like, listening and driving to my delivery. And then all of a sudden, Becca starts spitting some truth. And she starts spitting about how women, when they get to their 30s or late 20s, they're going to change the way they think about having children. And right when I heard that, I was like, whoa, hold up. Who is talking right now? Let me get a better look at who this person is. And then I look at my camera, I'm like, what? This girl's talking about this kind of stuff that men talk about all the time in the men's self-help space. And I see him like, damn, this girl is based. Like she knows what is actually going on in the world. So I got so excited. So I said, okay, I got to hit this girl up on Instagram. So I remember, I think I went on YouTube. I watched a few more videos just to make sure you were congruent with your message, which you absolutely were. You were also enjoyable to listen to. You have a good smile. You have a good demeanor on camera. You have good professionalism. So I was like, this girl, I need to get in front of this person. Like she needs to know who I am, and I need to connect with her. So I did. I hit her up on Instagram. She said, send me an email. So I sent her an email. We had a few exchanges. And then from there, I called this. I said, Becca, I give it less than 4 months that Fresh and Fit's going to hit you up and have you come on
Yeah.
their show. Literally less than a week later or less than 2 weeks later, you send me a DM and you're like, hey, Cam, Aaron or Poxon, he just hit me up right now and says he wants me to be on the show. And I'm like, I called it because I knew that your information is very relevant. It's important. Your message is on point. It's helping women become better women. And you're helping men give more hope and clarity that there are good women out there that really want to be led by real men.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and I'll give a shout to Afi Kingdom in the pot in the chat right now. Shout out to you, big brother. Thank you for coming and watching this. This is gonna be a big one, guys. I'm telling you. So, Becca, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit about your background, like where you're a little bit about your past, what's going on in
Yeah.
the present, and what's going on in the future for you.
Yeah. So, for most of you who know who I am or don't know who I am, I'm Rebecca. I considered myself a feminist. I like to say a raging feminist. I started 2 companies in New York, and I thought I had the life of my dreams until I realized that I was sad and lonely. It didn't matter, like, what I had accomplished at that point. I was, alone, and I didn't wanna be alone anymore. So, um, you know, I I attribute a lot of the things that have happened to me to counseling. So when I did meet my now husband, we went through intense counseling, like premarital counseling. And a lot of the ideologies that I was very much attached to, this whole feminist movement, in order to become the wife that I needed to be, I had to divorce that thought process and adopt a new one. And for people who don't know, I grew up in a very traditional home. So my mom was always like cooking and cleaning and all this other stuff for my dad. My dad was the provider of the household. Um, and yeah, I grew up that way, and then I realized I didn't wanna be that way in my 20s, and then I went back, and now I'm so happy that I know how to cook and clean because 'cause I'm thankful for my mom for that for that part. Because now I'm a good housewife in that regard.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Becca, because a lot of women are going to criticize you for that. They're like, "Oh my God, you're not empowered. You're not single, independent, powerful woman, or whatever." But you have a podcast. Like besides your own stuff that you do, you also, I think your podcast host is with you, Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie, shout out
Yeah,
to Jackie.
she's on our IG live right now. She just came in. I gave her a wave on Instagram Live. So you have a lot of things going for you, and you
Yeah.
make your own money, don't you?
Yeah, so I think that's where, like, I talk about this as well. I said, I thought I was a super successful person. And then, now I realize, wow, like this is like I'm living the life that I want. Like I have a YouTube channel that continues to grow. And then on top of that, I have a podcast where it's literally I can talk about whatever I want with my friend Jackie. So it's great. And then I also am pregnant with my first child. I'm 16 weeks pregnant. Yeah. So I'm going through that. But I'm married, I have a baby on the way, so life is like life right now is amazing. It's also really, really hectic. Um so so there's a lot that I'm juggling today.
Absolutely. By the way, I want to mention something. So, Becca, if I just randomly do this to your screen, it means I want you to have your moment so you can talk, so you don't get
Oh,
surprised. So you're just
okay.
like, "Oh, what's going on?" By the way, guys, you can call into the show. I'm testing this out right now. I want to see if we can get, because I just paid for Blog Talk Radio. Like I literally paid money for people to be able to call into the show, ask Becca a question, ask me a question, anything we can help you with regarding relationships. I mean, Becca, you're not you told me this like a few times already that you're not a dating coach. You're just like, would you say you're more like an observationalist of like kind of how the world works, and you just want to give your 2 cents, and people are just, they believe in your message, right?
Yeah, I've never not once said that I was a dating coach. I don't consider myself a dating coach. I don't necessarily like that title for myself. Um, and just as you said, like I observe, I take in my environment, and then I make my deductions based off of what I see and what's happening. And I also use logic and critical thinking. And, I was going, I like to say this, like, I was going this one direction, doing this thing, right? I was like, when they say, you keep doing the same thing, right? With
Hmm.
with no change in direction, like that's legitimately like insanity. Like why would you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result? So I was doing the same thing. I was that empowered woman who like was a boss babe and all that stuff, but I was still lonely for like 10 years of my life or like 8 years of my life, and I was doing the same thing expecting a different result. So you have to make a change. And yeah, I use critical thinking skills. I observe my environment. I've observed people for a very long time. And that's how I make my conclusions.
Mhm. Becca, so you had the I'm gonna say this. I think it takes courage for a man or a woman to realize that something in their life is not working and they want to do something about it. It takes courage, it takes guts to go against the grain, to go against what mainstream has conditioned us to be and all that kind of stuff, right? What for you, what is it? So here's the thing. I feel like this, would you agree with this before I make this claim? But do you think that the self-help industry is mostly, I don't have any statistics, I don't have any actual raw data on this. It's just an assumption. Do you feel like the self-development industry is mostly men that are clients or women?
I feel like it's to be honest, I feel like it's a lot of women.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. For what I've seen, well, now through my observations in like the manosphere and the red pill community, I see that a lot of men are seeking out more self-help, but I feel like traditionally it's been towards women. Like you see women try to go like it's more for entertainment purposes, not
Right.
necessarily for actual self-help, but more
Right.
for entertainment purposes only.
Right. And and here's the thing, Becca. So I had a live stream with Mr. 1950, who's part of the manosphere, and he's part of like the black manosphere, if you want to like get even more detail where it is in the manosphere. And Mr. 1950, this guy's so legit. One of the things that I asked him was, why do you think that that we have to go on the internet and seek information about how to become a better man? And one of the things that he was saying is that there's a lack of transfer of good information coming from our grandfathers to our fathers to our sons. And
Mhm.
I agree with that. And so now me being, I guess, red pill aware, if you want to say that, but I mean, if now that I know exactly how to go about life, my future children and future legacy, I hope, will continue what I know. Um, and I asked him this. I said, do you think that the information that we have out there is good or bad? And he says, I think it's a mixture of both. And I agree with him. And why I agree with him, Becca, and I want to get your opinion on this. The A lot of men, they, like guys like me, I genuinely want to learn how to become better with women, understand how females just work in general. Like, why are they doing this and why are they doing that? And why is it that I get flaked on? And why am I getting, this happening and that happening, all that kind of stuff? And what I came to the conclusion is that there's good advice out there that's helping men become better men and not blaming women for their own shortcomings. So they don't, and I don't agree with the whole she belongs to the streets. I don't agree with any of that kind of rhetoric because it's so stupid, it's childish, and it's very emotional based, which is not a masculine thing to say. So just
Mhm.
because a girl flaked on you, don't say, well, you belong to the streets and you're a bitch and you're an slut and all these other stupid words. So like just because she didn't show up, bro, just move on. It's fine. There's a girl waiting in line actually down to meet up with you and wants to be
Yeah.
connected with you and will do things for you. She will do anything for you to be in her life and get your loyalty. So I think it goes both ways with the men's self-help advice. I feel like there are men who are genuinely helping other men. And then there's the entertainment factor that you're talking about, that it's like she belongs to the streets. There is just there's just rhetoric just trashing women. What's your whole take on this?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You can see two sides of the I guess this whole thing, the manosphere, and even like the whole self-help or men's self-help. Like you have extremes, like you have the roommates, which are really helping guys level up their life. Literally, that's their motto, level up. And then you have just these different YouTube channels that are demeaning women and calling women's nature out, but doing nothing to really inspire men to be better men. And so
Facts,
and so
bars.
so I see both sides of it and I understand why it happens, right? Because even the roommates, uh, what's his name? Hafiz was talking about this with Ruslan
Mhm.
recently, on his podcast, and he basically was saying, it's not sexy to tell men to do better, right? It's not. It
Mm.
doesn't get the dollars in. It doesn't get the views that you want. But what gets the views is calling women all of these different things.
Yep.
It's shutting down women and all this other stuff. So I can understand why people do it, and the why people do it for entertainment purposes. And I say entertainment purposes only because if we really want to better ourselves, we have to talk to each other, and we have to, and like I talk to women, I want more women to talk to women, right? Because I want, like, Jordan Peterson says this. He goes, "You need the sane women to talk to your crazy sisters to tell them that you're crazy," right?
Mm. Yep.
And so that's why I primarily speak about women and towards women, but it resonates with men because that entertainment side of it, where I'm calling out bad behavior for women, but that ends up being what some of the manosphere likes to gravitate towards. So that's what I've been observing from everything, just being here on the internet and just observing my environment. But here's the thing, like, you're a man, problems that men face. I'm a woman and I can tell you things that we face, right? And I can observe both sides, but this is why primarily to women and try to educate them and use examples that are out there of what quote unquote bad behavior looks like, to then make an educational reaction video or make an educational, like, piece around it, so I can say, hey, this is the bad behavior and this is good behavior, like, this is what you should do. And it's
Mhm.
very countercultural, and I think that that's the message that, like, I resonate with, is like everything that I'm doing is countercultural to what society is telling women to do or society is telling men to do. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I want to also, let's see. So I want to make sure. So James Franco, I'm going to, by the way, Ali, I'm going to address your comment on Instagram Live in just a second. She has a question, but James Franco on YouTube was saying too many men growing up without a man in the household. Facts. And
Facts.
I'll say this, James Franco. By the way, James Franco, let's hit me up, man. Let's hang out. let's just go. Let's go hang out and do some funny ass shit. I've seen you in Pineapple Express, man. So, to James' thing, it's not just about without a man. There's a lot of men that are weak as fuck, like really, really weak. And I'll say this, there's a lot of good men that provide for their families, they provide for their children, but they're just not masculine men. They're just good men that know how to make sure they pay the bills and they do this and they do that. They're the boss of their company and they drive a nice car and the wife likes them. I mean, if anyone has seen the show Sex Life, have you seen Sex Life on Netflix, by the way?
No, I don't have Netflix.
What? You don't have Netflix? That's what so your husband obviously didn't get to use the Netflix and chill line on you.
No, we don't have Netflix. We're probably gonna get it, but yeah, I
Hulu and
heard about
chill?
this. Yeah, we do have Hulu.
Okay, so he probably used Hulu and chill with you. So, and then another thing, James Franco said, which I really agree with. He said, I like this analogy, James. He said, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Not all information is good information. Damn, bars. That was so freaking important because I tell this to everybody. I said, listen, you're not going to agree with everything I have to say. You're not going to have to agree with everything Becca has to say. And that's fine. That's called being a human being. Don't blindly follow Becca and I and be like, yes, master, wherever you want me to go, like a freaking zombie,
Yeah.
like please, for the love of God, like if you're going on the internet, just get what works for you and then take it in. And whatever doesn't work for you, just move away.
This is what I talk about. You have to have critical thinking skills, and I think today
Yep.
today, society wants us to be stupid
Yep.
and just take in all and take in what the narrative is telling us and pretend that nothing else exists. And I think that we should be questioning everything, right? Like it's not just in this space, but in all areas of life. Like we should be questioning everything that we hear. So that's where that's where I like that statement as well, because just get the good stuff, right? And spit out the rest that doesn't serve you.
Facts, exactly. One thing, so I'll say this. So everyone who's on Instagram Live, thank you so much for joining us on Instagram Live. By the way, we are on YouTube right now. You can literally go watch us on YouTube. It's the preferred platform because you can at least tune in on YouTube. You can listen to us in the background. You're probably cooking right now, or you're probably just driving to go on a date, which you know you're gonna have a great time with the girl that you're seeing right now. Or if you're a girl listening to this, you probably know that this guy you're about to see, he's going to be a nice, strong, masculine man in front of you. So you want to get hyped up, you want to get pumped up, go on YouTube right now. And by the way, we even have a call-in number where you can literally go watch us like on the show and call in and ask Becca and I a question. We'll be happy to have it. Now, James Franco, thank you for your comments. Now, I want to go into IG Live for a moment. I see that Ali said a comment. She said, Rebecca is an academic. So this is her question to you. So what have you noticed is the difference between academia and reality outside of college for women?
Well, academia in general
Mhm.
is is I call it la la
Academia, sorry.
land.
Mhm.
I call it la la land because, when you apply it to the real world, it doesn't work. So, especially for, I mean, we can talk about like, I don't know if we're going to get deplatformed here, like
Who cares? Just keep
Marxism
going.
or
Yeah.
socialism and
Yeah.
these things that are
Fine.
being promoted in academia, right? Like feminism is being literally preached to women in college, in high school. It starts in middle school, actually. And so, of course, you're getting fed all of this information like girl power, girls run the world, all of these different things, right? You don't need a man, you want a man. All of that stuff, right, is being taught to you. And then when you try to apply it in the real world, you realize that men don't agree with that. And the only men who really do, I'm sorry to say this, but are beta males. So,
Mhm.
of course, like if you want that, then great, continue to do what you're doing. But if you want an alpha male, you want a man who's going to lead your home, who's going to lead your household, I'm sorry, but that's not going to work.
Yep. No, and I agree with that. See, it's funny because they, the that side of the, and I'm not, if you want to think the way you want to think about feminism and you want to say girl power, all that stuff, that's fine. Just understand that not the quality, the caliber of men. Well, here's the thing. I feel like the women that are very much into the whole feminists and are into male feminists, they're probably the ones that are running the show. They're probably the ones that are like governing the household. They're telling their guys what to do, bossing them around and stuff like that. Well, I'm sorry, baby girl, that ain't gonna work with me. That does not work with Grand Camp because for me personally, that's just how I operate. Like I'm the kind of guy that I like to tell my lady what the plans are, what we're going to be doing, how I like to have my house organized, how I like to have her part of my life. And here's one thing that a lot of guys get wrong with when it comes to leading women is that they think that automatically to lead a woman means you sexually please her only. But it's not just about sexual pleasure with a woman. It's about making her a better woman because I encourage the one of these women that I'm seeing right now. She's encouraged. She's has helped me bring a little bit of clarity into my life. And also, I mean,
Mhm.
we just started dating each other, but she's really, really into me. I'm really into her, and I made it upon myself that even if her and we don't stay together forever or we don't become girlfriend boyfriend, we don't get married or any of that kind of stuff, right? That's okay. But at least I help her become a better person. If you are a man of self development, shame on you if you don't let your lady also become a woman of self-development. Like you need to have her become a better version of herself. And sometimes she's not going to see things that she can't see. So you help her with her blind spots. And I've had it multiple times, Becca, for girls I've dated in the past that, my house is not maybe as organized or as clean as it should be. I think I do a pretty good job, but I could always be better. I've had it before where like I remember even something as stupid as this, like the Tide Pods that people put in their detergent, right? I had no idea about this. This is how like uneducated I am with like Tide Pods. So I remember I put one Tide Pod for a large laundry load, and I'm not saying laundry and all this just because it's a girl. I'm just again, guys, like YouTube, chill out, okay, and Instagram, you chill out too. So what I'm saying is, she was so educated in the whole house duty stuff that she said, "Cam, how many of these Tide Pods are you putting in?" I said, "Just one." She's like, "Why only one?" I said, "Well, just you put in one. That's how I, always learned it. When I put in my laundry, that's what I do at my own house. And when I grew up." And she said, "No, Cameron, look at the instructions." So she turns the Tide Pods around, and I see that there's 2 or 3 for larger loads. I was like, "Oh shit, what the hell? This whole time I've been doing it wrong." So I'm like, "Dude, thank you so much for that." And she helped me with organizing like my again. There's some things I don't care about, and there's things I do care about. For the things I don't care about, I hope that any girlfriend or any girl that I'm dating right now, she finds my blind spots. And that's a
Mhm.
great quality woman. And if you can create an environment like that in your relationship, or the woman you're dating, to create an environment for her to be uplifted and for her to like help you and call out things that you're doing things wrong, but not in a way, but like in a very constructive way. That's a winner right there. That girl she's winning my heart already.
It was funny because my husband said, and women hate when I say this, but, um, I like to say that my husband trained me,
Hmm.
and it was that plus counseling, but it's funny because, like, for a lot of women, you don't like, I've never lived with a man, like, I've never lived with a boyfriend or anything, so when I met my husband and we got married and stuff, you gotta learn how to live with that person, right? And I think that for a lot of people, that's what shocks them. That's what makes people live together ahead of time and all that stuff. Not that I necessarily believe in that, but it's it's interesting. You're combining 2 lives together. You have to learn how to cohabitate with each other. And it's not, this is my house, this is your house, this is our house. And how do we make this house our home? Right? Like, I know what my roles are in the household. I know what his roles are in the household. We've discussed what those things are. We've made it very clear. Like, uh, my husband came home, dinner was on the table. He's like, "I'm so happy that I can come home and I know that dinner's made." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "I'm still working, right? Like, I'm here with you. I filmed today." So, like, I think that that is also a myth too, right? Like, when you become a housewife or you're like the woman at home, that your life automatically gets ruined or that you are diminished, your self-worth is diminished. That is not the case whatsoever. I have so much value and I bring so much to this relationship. And the fact that I can do multiple things at one time and have dinner cooking while filming a video and make sure that the guests, like the laundry's done, that's my superpower. Like, embrace that superpower. I think so many women forget, like, we are great multitaskers. Guys are very compartmentalized. So, like, you do one task at a time, and I'm sitting over here like, okay, I can clean this and cook here. But it's just, it's just the way that that's where we are different, men and women. And I think that we've forgotten that in society. Like, it's okay to be different. It's good that we're different because imagine if I was the same as my husband. We would
Oh,
not be together.
boring,
We would
boring.
not be together.
No, yeah. Becca, that was so important. And anytime like anyone is spitting truth on my show, I just get super excited. I'm just like swish bars. Yeah, that was very important. Becca, a question I wanted to ask you is this. When you were on your path of realizing that you wanted to change your life and change it to the way it is now, along your journey, were you ever like, "Oh, this is too hard and I kind of want to go back to being feminist and I want to go back to the way it was before," but then something's telling me to keep pushing, but I'm just like, "Ah," was there any like piece of information or an obstacle that you faced where you're just like, "I should go back," but then you end up not listening to that and you went the other direction?
No. I've
Never.
always it wasn't that it was never. I think this journey has taken it has been a long journey, obviously, and a tough journey, to rediscover myself as a woman. Um, I think that there was not one time that I said that alternative is better than where I am today. You know, did did I almost break up my engagement twice? Yes, but that was because of intense counseling and things getting brought up from both my past and his past, right? And hypergamy is a real thing. We can talk about it if you'd like.
Mhm.
Um, but but you know, I don't think I think I needed to go through those things, right? Like, I needed to overcome that to understand, okay, my life is way better than it was before, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful. Like, I'm grateful for my entire journey because I don't think that I would get to this point today without having those experiences and having something to point back to understand, okay, well, I've done that, so I don't need to do that again. I know what the result of that is, and I'm cool. Like, I'm good. My life is way better this direction.
I
Um
love it. I love it. Do you wanna say something else? You look like I was just, like,
No.
complimenting. Okay. So so by the way, guys who are watching on Instagram Live, if you wanna call into the show, it's, 516-418-5552. Again, it's 516-418-5552, and I'm gonna put it in the chat in just a second. But, Becca, so let's talk about the hypergamy, discussion, right? So, okay, so here's my whole take on it, and I wanna know your take on it as well. So, well, actually, let's go with this. What is your take on hypergamy from the female side of the whole thing? Like, I know I've heard it from the men's side like 90,000 times. Can you tell us about what it's like when you first heard about the word and how relevant, how true is it? Like, what should guys be thinking about it when it comes to hypergamy?
Well, so so for me, I didn't know what the word hypergamy meant,
Hmm.
but I knew that I was doing it. Does that make sense? Like,
Hmm.
I
Yep.
I kn I knew what was happening. So basically, like, female hypergamy just means that women are not happy. They want more and more and better. And, like, specifically, like, I was in a like, I advanced in my career, I advanced in society, so I expected my man to be higher, like, at a higher level than I was, and so that's how I made decisions when it came to dating, when it came to, like, not I wouldn't say even friendships, but, like, some friendships, but mostly in dating, right? Like, I wanted the top level guy, but the problem that occurs here is that all women want that percentage of men. So when you have a small dating pool that you're willing to, like, go after, you're going to end up alone or, like, you're going to end up in a bad spot because what happens is that those men at the top with all the options in the world, right? They can date all through the spectrum. They can date girls that work at McDonald's up to, like, supermodels and all this other stuff. Where, like, my level of dating is only up. So I'm not going to date down because dating down means that I basically, like, am the leader of my relationship, if that makes sense.
It
So
does.
that's the that was probably a terrible way of saying it, but that's how I interpret it as a woman because I lived that life where I see a lot of women just want top tier guys because that's what they've been told to want.
When you were okay, so that absolutely on the conditioning part that they've been told that you should be getting the top 1% guy, 10%, whatever the hell the statistic is. But my question is, um, were you when you were a raging feminist, is that when you were thinking like, oh, I gotta have the top quality guy? Or was that like another time of your lifetime that before you were feminist?
So so I have a mechanical engineering background, specifically in robotics. So not like not like a weird not like a regular job, okay? Like, I was an engineer working for an oil
You're a
company.
brainiac.
Yeah, I used to build robots for a living, so
Here you go. Yeah, brainiac.
so
I called it. Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, when I was at like, when I was there, right? Like, specifically working in that field, I worked with a lot of men. So, when I was dating people, this is sounds really bad, but when I was dating people, I was living in California at the time. When I would go on dates and I asked them what they did for work and they said something like less than what I thought was what I wanted, I would just immediately dismiss them.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and then once I became a CEO of my company, sold my
Oh,
first
the what?
company. Yeah, like the dating pool just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And yeah, I mean, like, I call so there's different types of feminist, right? Um, there's the pretty feminists, the ones that like to use pretty privilege. I hate that word, but like pretty privilege, right? You have the ones that shave their heads like I did also and like dye their hair blue and all this other stuff. Or that don't shave their legs, those type of feminists too, right? So
Oh,
you have
jeez.
different types of feminists out there.
Mhm.
You see the girls on the Fresh and Fit podcast. That's a different level of feminism. They wouldn't call they wouldn't call themselves necessarily feminists, but a lot of what they're saying is based in that ideology. So that's why I say there's different layers of feminism and what women look like. But yeah, I would think that even though I was a feminist, even though I said I also hated men for a long time. So
So, no, thank you for sharing that and breaking it down because the reason why I asked that is because if you're a feminist, like if you were a feminist and you thought that I need to have the top quality guy, I mean, the top quality guys you're gonna get are soy boys and guys who are just kind of like, yeah, slay queen. And I'm not talking about homosexual. I'm talking about a heterosexual man who's acting very feminine because he thinks that's the right thing to do and that's what he thinks he's gonna do to get the right woman. But that is not, no, that's not a real man.
so
So go
sorry,
ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
let me even make that point clear. So
Please.
there was a USA Today article, or I think it was like New York Times or something like that. The
Mhm.
woman writing the article said, woke women, feminist women want traditional conservative men. So let that sink in for a little bit. She said that her guy friends in this article, and I'll send it to you. She said that her male guy friend, or her guy friends, right? That were more, you know, like woke, having that type of, ideology.
Mhm.
They had a tougher time with these types of women, feminist women, because I'm sorry, but let's call it what it is.
Let's do it.
Women want traditional values. Women want traditional men. Women want alpha male. It's just what we want. Like, she can tell you until she's blue in the face that that's not what she wants. But from what I know and from what I've seen, I would say that 90% of women actually want that. So that's why you're seeing this happening right now, is like these feminists want more traditional minded men, more even like, let's put it in that box, right? Conservative men. And what do like, that's that's not that's that's not the patriarchy, right? Like, you're going against what you're even saying. So
Absolutely. And
it boggles
and
my mind.
no, absolutely. And Becca, but back to one point you're saying about the hypergamy thing. So uh we got some comments. I want to address that in just a second from Instagram Live. So real rude comics, or six comics, I'll get you in just a second. And also Ali said a few things. So or Ali said a comment. I want to make sure we bring this up as well. One of the things that I realized about this whole hypergamy thing that I got to give credit to Myron from the Fresh and Fit podcast for is that it really opened my eyes to this. He said that, when a woman makes more money, like she starts making six figures, like it really does like start closing your dating profile, like of what kind of guys are suitable for you. So it starts going like this and this and this. Now, here's the one thing I'll say as well. While that is true, I really do not care, and I'm not concerned. I'm speaking to men right now. Like, I do not care if a woman makes more money than me. I do not care if I first meet her, because I'm not even asking her, "Hey, what's your salary, by the way?" Like, tell me where does the last place you traveled? Also, how much money do you make? I just need to make sure before I even think about penetrating you, I got to make sure that like that you're making at least like $20,000 less than me. I don't care about that. For me, I'm connecting with a woman because I'm connecting with her because she is Team Grand Cam. She likes me. She wants to follow my lead. That's all that matters for me, at least in the beginning. And when guys get so fixated on the whole hypergamy thing, Becca, I think like it screws up guys because then they end up closing a lot of women that could potentially be good women. In fact, one of the women I'm dating right now, I think she probably makes more money than me. And maybe she does. And here's the thing. She's literally told me I'm about to leave my 9 to 5 and go do my other side gig, which I'm doing, which is similar to what we do. It's like I'm literally about to leave that and I make enough money on my side gig to leave the workforce and do this full time. And I got so freaking jealous, but in a good way. I was like, damn, good
Mhm.
for you. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I will get to that point as well. You got there before me and inspiring me to become a better man. I'm not
Mhm.
getting insecure about it. I'm not like, oh my God, she makes more money than me. Or she escapes the 95 before I do. Now I'm a worthless man. No, 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 my friend. That's not how it works, man. Like, that's not how it works. If you guys think like that, you need to hit me up on the side and I'll fix you up. I promise. I'll make you a stud. So I want to go to Allie's comment. So she brought up it's the damn Grey's Anatomy. I think she was talking about this regarding the feminist comment that you said. Do you know what she means by that? A little bit too late to bring it up. Allie, if you can reiterate what you meant by that, I would like to know because I don't really watch Grey's Anatomy. Actually, I've never seen an episode of Grey's Anatomy, so I don't know.
Me
Um,
neither.
oh yeah, okay. So then Allie, you have to tell us what you mean by that. So we got Marcus. Good to see you on the chat, brother. Okay, now we got someone on Instagram Live. He's saying, this is literally what I said 50,000 times to Becca and also to other girls that are like Becca and also Allie. Like I've told Allie this a million times on the Instagram DMs. Rude 6 Comics said, wish more women would listen to this lady. She speaks the truth. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's funny. Actually, I showed your content to my mom as well too, because I have like a few family members that are not like raging feminists, but they're feminists. So I
Mhm.
told my mom, hey, send them to these other family members, and she says like this is what her thing is. She's like, I don't like the word submissive. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
gotta. She's like, I hate that word submissive. What's
S
your whole take on this? Like, what can you do to address to the women out there, besides my mom and other women out there that don't like to hear the word submissive? Like, how do you shine it on them and say, guys, it's not that big of a deal? Or I don't know, like maybe it's not a big deal for me. I know for other women it's a big deal. So what would you do to comment on that?
So the problem with the word submissive is that media, specifically, like TV and like TV, movies, all of these things, they made submission into 50 Shades of Grey. So
Hey, nothing wrong
so
with 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, I love I
yeah,
never
but
watched the movie, but I like the dark kind of twisted shit that goes on with the kinkiness.
yeah, but
That's
that's
me
what I'm
though.
saying. It's like when you think about what submission is, right? You have the dom and you have the submissive. So that's what people assume as a woman you're being submissive to, right? Like the sexual desires of your man. And that's where women say, "Well, I'm not a doormat." Like I'm that doesn't excuse abuse in relationships. I've always said this. Like there's no place for abuse. If anyone is laying hands on you, you need to walk away, man
Absolutely.
or woman. So that like I think that a lot of people mistake submission into abuse
Mm-hmm.
and that or that fine line of abuse. And so for me, what submission looks like is,
Mhm.
the Bible's version of submission. It's the Ephesians 5 version of submission, where it's wives, submit yourselves to your husband uh, wives, submit yourselves to your husband as the church has submitted to God, or something like that. And
Mhm.
then it says, husband, love your wives as I love the church, or I love you. So the thing is like, men have a duty as well. It's not just wives just be submissive to your husbands and they can do whatever they want to you. It's, I have respect and like adoration for my husband. I care about how he leads my house, right? Like, he is the leader of our household. It's not that I don't make any decisions. It's not that I don't like have a say in the conversation. I have a say in the conversation. He asks me all the time, "What do you think about this thing?" Like, I'm, when we were thinking about moving to Orlando, right, for his job, I was like, okay, let's do it. Like, we talked about it, we had this discussion, but at the end of the day, he had to make the decision. I wasn't going to make the decision, and I couldn't leave my husband when, you know what I mean, to move to a different part of the state. So, I think submission has such a negative connotation in society, but all it really means is having respect and honor for your man. And it's not to say, "Oh, you need to do the dishes, you need to clean the house, you need to wipe my feet." No, it's and I would also say that as a woman, it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a strong woman to be submissive to her man, because my nature is to have everything in my control. Like,
Mhm.
I need to be in control. So to relinquish that control sometimes and let him make the decision is very important for our family, because it's going to be more logical than my decisions sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I I make a lot of decisions. Yes, I think logically, but most of the time it's when I'm in my feelings. Like, so men, especially like when we fight or like we bicker, he's like, "Let me know when you're done."
Right.
And that and that's the response. But that's what I want. If you have a man that's arguing with you all the time, that's not a good man. Like, that's a feminine man, because he
Mhm.
likes to argue with you.
Cause
And
drama, stir drama up with you.
yeah, absolutely. So, for me, being submissive is having honor and respect for my husband, for my partner, and that can look like a bunch of different ways, right?
Mhm.
So, hope that answers your question
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah, no, it definitely it's everybody you know what it is. If the word submission comes off, I'm going to go even like I'm going to get granular with this, right? I'm going to get super deep with this. That the reason I also feel that submission, it has this like negative connotation, it has to do with the fact that weak men are leading women. And every man has some sort of leadership skills, but they may not be as strong of a leader as they think. And who are the weak men? The ones that abuse women, the one that manipulate women, the one that lie to women, or deceitful, not keeping it real with them. Those are the men that are like, listen, you gotta wash the dishes and you gotta do this and you gotta do that. And if you're not, you're get out of my house, you're not worth it to me, and all that kind of crap. So I feel like when it comes from a place of position of strength, a position of masculinity, of true masculinity, not this like mumbo jumbo of like she belongs to the streets, lying to women, all that kind of shit. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being a good role model for her. Because there are women out there that want to be with the guy and they're willing to submit to the man, but only with if the man is deserving of it in her eyes,
Mhm.
right? And what makes you as a man deserving to a woman is that you have strong leadership skills. You keep it. Even most important thing is the transparency and just keeping it real with her and that direct communication. Because if you can do that, you're ahead of 99% of men that cannot do that at all,
So
and they
that's
look
so
so bad. Go ahead.
it's so funny that you say that because
Mhm,
I think the thing so when I met my husband, right, not only was I immediately attracted to him physically, the way he spoke, all of that stuff, but he was, as we got to know each other, he was transparent with me. I could actually have a conversation with him without feeling like it was game, like it was all a game.
mhm.
And that was something that I told him, when we first started dating, or that like when we were in the dating stage. I was like, it's such a breath of fresh air to know that there's men out there that can speak the truth and like be honest and not play these stupid games that
Yep.
we see like on TikTok, like these toxic dating advice that we
Oh,
see.
horrible.
So that's what makes me, it encourages me about other men that I see, like what you're doing and you're helping other men, because men need to understand that it's not about the games. Like the games aren't going to take you to marriage. What's going to take you to marriage is having courageous conversations with your partner, having like which is transparency, right? If if it doesn't come out now, it's going to come out later because relationships will expose every insecurity that you'll have, and especially in marriage. So, it's really important that people start realizing that the games will only lead to more games and maybe more toxic relationships. But if you actually want a long lasting relationship, you need to have some level of transparency with your partner.
If you are not leading with transparency, honesty, and authenticity, there is complete anarchy in your guys' relationship. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a clown show. And every day she's going to wake up and say, what the hell is going on with my day today? Do I need to start drama with this dude? Do I need to do I need to wake him up? You're actually, I want to say this. A lot of times guys don't realize this, Becca, that if the girl you're dating is stirring up any kind of drama with you, sometimes it stems from the fact that you're just a weak ass dude, and she's just trying to wake you up, and she's like, hey, what are you doing over there? Like, why are you like this, and why are you so lazy, and why aren't you like, applying yourself and stuff like that? And as a man speaking to other men right now, why the hell are you in a relationship when you don't even know who you are? So like, if you don't know who you are as a person, my friend, you got a lot of work to do, and you better hit me up because
Mhm.
only be in a relationship with a woman when you feel like you are fixed up here. Now, you don't have to be, that doesn't mean you got to be a perfectionist before you get into a relationship, but I'm going to tell you this right now, that you can at least casually see a woman until, and then when it's the right time, like again, everybody has standards, right? Like if she's deserving to be in a relationship with you, go for it. But and she's going to look at you too. She's going to say, hey, is this guy, like, do I see myself being in a relationship with him?
Mhm.
And there's so many times that girls are not going to be direct in your face about it. They're not going to say, listen, Johnny, you really suck at what you do. Your bedroom game sucks. And also, you're just not a real man. They're not going to tell you this. They're going to want, girls expect you to get it immediately like that. They expect you to just understand them, get what they're thinking, and read their mind before they even tell you what's coming out of their mouth. Because I had it so many times, Becca, where they're just like, well, the girls I've dated in the past, they literally say, um how did you know I was even going to say that? I'm like, well, I can just, I can just tell from experience and also from like my self-development that this is like probably what you want. Am I correct? And she says, yeah. And again, I tell guys this: if you have not worked on yourself, if you are not applying yourself, you are living a life of confusion, misery, and anarchy. There's no structure, there's no compass, there's no leadership. You lack authenticity. You're not a real man because you haven't worked on yourself. So fix those insecurities and watch. I'm telling you, even like, you're gonna find out who's the right woman to be in your life. Would you agree with that assessment? At least like a guy should have a pretty firm understanding of who he is before he can date a woman like you, because you understand the game, you understand how life works, Becca. But even for you, a woman of your caliber, you can't be around a weak ass dude. I know. And by the way, shout out to your husband for being a strong masculine man and the kind of guy that you like. So shout out to him. But let's just say, like, let's just use it as an example. Like, if you never met your husband, right? How what kind of expectations would you want to have? Or let's just say, even for your husband, let's use him as an example. What expectations did you have going into dating your husband?
See, that's hard to say
Hmm.
because I was still very much in my ideology when we met. So so when I met my husband, I was the one saying that, "Oh, I can take care of myself." So like you're just like this sounds bad, but you're essentially an accessory to my
Hmm.
life.
Right. Right.
And it wasn't until going through intensive counseling, the both of us, and here's something that I will say to your point is that my husband was surrounded by good men and married men and men who've done this for a long time, who've been with their wives, who have children, have had children, right? And that's who he's learning from, not from the guys that are telling him to pump and dump and stuff like that, right? And so when you see that as a woman, you see him bettering himself every single day. That is a turn on because you're like, wow, this man is ambitious. This man is taking care of business. He's continuing to improve himself on a daily basis. He's surrounded by good men that can counsel him through these things, right? And for myself and for women, I would also say you need to be counseled. You need to have women in your corner who, if marriage, oh no,
Oh,
my,
live stream ended. What the heck?
yeah, I know. Oh well.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave that alone for now because I want to save the data on it. That's so weird that happened though.
I know. I was like, wow, it hated us.
That's the
Um,
Instagram metrics right now, just saying too much truth, too much going on right now. We don't like this. We must censor you, censor everybody who speaks the truth.
yeah. So I would say too for women, if you want marriage, if you want children, if you want these things, right, you need to surround yourself with women who have those things. Even when I was like deep into my entrepreneurial phase of my life, like I'm still an entrepreneur, I consider myself an entrepreneur. But you hear Gary Vee, right? Like you know who Gary Vee is.
Of
He
course. Mhm.
says he's a great like he's great, but he says he's like I don't take information, I don't take advice for people who've not done it.
Facts.
And so that's why I find it difficult to frankly listen to a lot of people on the internet
Hmm.
because, you know, when I look at someone and I don't want to like pull an example, but I'll keep it broad. Like if someone is out there saying, you know, giving advice and they're not living it themselves, it's very difficult to listen to that type of information or listen to that type of person because they're not practicing what they preach. The audio doesn't match the visual. And so when you have a lot of people that are doing this, right, that are making a lot of money producing this like entertaining content, right, for men and women, don't get me wrong, it happens on the women's side as well. So you see this type of behavior out there and then you realize, wow, like does the audio match the visual? Like, what I'm trying to do is help women become wives, become mothers, if that's what they want, right? By calling out bad behavior and also creating information that will help them get to that point, right? It's just difficult when you see people out there that might have great information, but they're not practicing what they preach. So that's my take on all that.
Would you say that a good majority of women are trying to be wives, or they're trying to be like mothers? Like, do you think a good majority of women are like that, or do you think majority of women are looking for casual flings, or what do you think?
So I think that I'm going to say this cautiously. I think that a lot of women desire children and having husbands, but what society preaches to women is to not desire those things.
Hmm.
So there are women who are confused about what they actually want because it doesn't align with what society tells them is successful or what you should be striving for. So that's where I stand there, but there are those outliers of women. It's not all women, right? Like people love to say that I say all women. It's not all women. I understand that not all women want to have children, but I would think that a majority of women want a partner in their life. Um and so, you know, society what I've observed and through the data that I've seen, society, specifically like feminism, teaches women that career success is the only success to strive for, and that a man will come after you've accomplished that or on the verge of accomplishing that. And that men want women who are successful, right? But the problem is that women are desiring, like, how I used to speak as a woman, like, "Oh, well, I make good money and I have a great career and I take care of myself." Well, when you hear a woman saying that, she is projecting what she wants. She wants security. So, she wants to have that stable, like that stability in her life. So she's created it for herself, if that makes sense. So instead of finding it in a man, right, in a husband that can provide and protect and care and provide security, she has found it in herself. And that is what's being praised in society today. Not depending on a man, but depending on yourself. And then a man becomes an accessory in your life. And the problem with that is if a man becomes an accessory in your life, then he's not needed and you can let go of that whenever you want. Hence why you see divorce rates and or like people not getting married and going, perpetually dating forever and ever and ever. Um, so that's my observation, obviously, and that's what I've also experienced myself. So,
So, for all the women that are listening to this right now, what would you say makes a good quality girlfriend to a man? What makes a man want to stay with his woman and realize that she is, probably one of the best girls he's ever met, and she would do so well with him in compatibility? Like, what do you think that what do you what would you say to the guys that are watching this and to the women that are watching this that want to know what makes a good woman be compatible with a guy? Like, what kind
well,
of like characteristics should he look out for, and what should she embody?
yeah. So I think that today women are very masculine. So
Yep.
because you can't, because women have been taught to be masculine or more masculine, then she can't detach herself from her masculinity, especially if she's, a top tier person in her industry or whatever. So the problem is that we have forgotten what femininity looks like in women, right? So sometimes it just means that, you need to hush your mouth and listen before you speak, right? And so I think there's a lot of things that women can do, um, but a man who's looking for a like a woman who is more feminine, who embodies that. I don't know how to explain it in a way that's. I'm trying to like break it down in like the easiest way possible.
In terms
So
of what? In terms of what?
so like for example, for when I
Mhm.
met my husband, I was still very much in my masculine, right? Like I still had a lot of masculine traits. I was putting that aside. But when
Mhm.
I met him, I immediately became feminine to him. Like I was immediately
Mm.
feminine. Like my voice changed, my behavior changed, my body language changed. I was very, I was very approachable, right? Because a lot of today, a lot of women are not approachable. You have the resting biatch face constantly. Um, so, so I think that you know we can quote Kevin Samuels, fit friendly, uh, fit friendly, and feminine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like a woman who takes care of herself, but also understands that um like she wants marriage or she wants some level of a long-term commitment. If she's telling men like that she's dating that or that she's going out on dates with that she don't need a man, that she makes her own money, you know, all of these things, then I tell men to typically run for the hills. Um, but yeah, I think that more women today need to rediscover their femininity. Um, and that's hard because that takes time, right? And because we've been so conditioned to be masculine in everything, um, and to desire that too, right? A more like instead of being masculine, to seek a masculine man. I think that some women, they see a feminine man and they think, oh, he's great. And then she's with him for a while and then she's like, this sucks. I'm calling all the shots in this relationship and I don't want to do that. So, um, yeah, I don't know if that answered any of your questions,
No,
but
it did. Yeah, no, it did. It did. It's so for me, I feel like every woman that I had to approach on these dating apps is I had to get her to realize without like being um what is it? I didn't want to indoctrinate her and say like, well, the first thing I talk about is like, hey, why are you so masculine and stuff like that, right? But so it's better to be said in person than over a text message or over a dating app. So I've had it before where when I'm dating a woman and let's just say her voice is like always like that the whole time, and I tell her like, hey, please just settle down just a little bit. It's a little bit too extreme for me. And then I've had it before where a girl, let's say she made me dinner, very kind gesture of her when I come over to her house, and she's like, and she asked me like 21 freaking questions. She says, so you want me to pack the salmon for you when you go home? Like, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me take your leftovers. So she gives me leftovers. Then she's like, hey, I want to make sure, are you going to eat it? Are you going to eat it tomorrow for lunch? I'm like, well, maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. She's like, okay, well, just make sure you eat it for tomorrow for lunch because I don't know how long the salmon's going to rot or is going to last. I'm like, listen, chill. I will eat the goddamn salmon when I want to eat the goddamn salmon. I promise you. I want to say what's more important right now is that you made food for me. And I said, thank you. I was very appreciative of it. I have gratitude for the effort you put in. Like, look how well you see. Come over here for a second. Let me hold your hand. Let me go grab her hand. Like, look at that salmon you just made. Seasoned perfectly. The vegetables look good. The potatoes look good. That's all you should care about right now. You just give me the salmon and I go on my merry way and I go home. Don't even ask me ever again about the goddamn salmon.
It's
So
so funny that you say that because my husband sometimes I used to say, oh my gosh, he'll laugh at this. He'll used to say something. I'm like, "Hey babe, do you want this, let's say, do you want this soda?" Right?
Mhm, mhm.
He's like, "No." And I go, "Why?"
Oh my god, no.
Sometimes I catch myself doing it now and he's like, "Why? Why?" So, or he'll do it to me like to show me that I'm being ridiculous.
Oh my
But
god.
it's funny because it does happen, like, women, this whole nagging thing is so, for men, it's so just it's
It's
such a
atrocious
turn
to be
it's a
honest.
turn off, it's a
Yeah,
turn off.
it's so annoying.
Yeah,
It
and Go ahead.
I have to say this. Do you remember growing up? Do you ever remember on MTV all those shows like Jackass and Viva La Bam, right? Do you remember Viva La Bam in specific?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember Don Vito, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Don, I had to bring this up because this girl, the girl, one of the girls that I'm seeing right now, it's so funny. She's such a sweet girl, but she's like she gets so freaking annoying sometimes. And again, like she's such a sweet girl, but like I had to tell her, like, listen, this thing that you're doing, it's annoying. So first of all, her voice is always like raised high. Like I don't think I've ever heard her go, "Hey Cameron, is everything okay?" It's always like, "Hey Cameron, is everything okay?" Like all of a sudden. And she's like, listen, that's my energy. That's who I am. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, now I know that's your energy. And here's the thing. She literally starts going like, Cameron, if you don't do this, and literally I looked at her one time and I'm just like, this girl literally sounds like Don Vito when she starts like going off and like, going off on these like annoying complaints and stuff like that, or whining. It sounds like it's whining, but it's not. And I told her, I'm like, listen, you're gonna laugh so hard. Do you remember Viva La Bam? So I showed her the Don Vito, like best of Don Vito on YouTube, and she was laughing. So she's like, "Do I really sound like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, you do, because you literally sound like gibberish. You go, blah, 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 the salmon, blah, 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 blah. Why aren't you making it now?" And I told her, "Listen, baby girl, you gotta hush, chill a little bit. It's all good." So it's funny, like, and I bring this up because I've dealt with women that would be considered like to guys like in the guys manosphere bratty. So I've had to tell her, I'm like, I remember she said like, she's like, "What makes you so special?" When she says that, and I'm just using it again for context. I'm not making fun of women. So when she said that, I had to go up to her really close and say, "Hey, you want that smoke? You want it? You want that smoke? You want to challenge me? Okay, I'll go up right to her. Like literally, the mic is like her face. I'll be like, "Hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Is everything okay? I thought you came here for like just a date, and now all of a sudden you're giving me some attitude, some lip. What's going on? You want to talk about it?" And sometimes if you go about it in a very diplomatic way, you go with grace and humility, and also just to let her know, like, hey, this attitude, you're better than that. Like, you can't be like combative like this. You're not. It's not even in your nature to be like this. And I tell her that, I'm like, literally, you want to be the best version of yourself. She says, yeah, I do. Relax, soften up. You're in my
Chill.
arms. You're in my leadership. Just any dude you dealt with in the past, it's over. The misery is gone. And in fact, I tell this to guys too. Even let's just say a man has like a rotation of women. You have to choose one woman in the end if you want to have children and you want to have family, which I do. I want family and children. So it's on you as a man to make sure that you help all these women, whoever the number amount women you're dating, if you're pimp master level 9,000 or whatever, who you are, if you're a player, whatever, always keep it real with these women. Be authentic with them. Don't lie about, anything. Like if they ask you a serious question about your status, like tell them what's going on and tell them what's on your mind and tell them how you visualize being with them, right? If they ask you and they want to pick your brain on that. So when I say this in the end, that even if you have to choose one girl, so she's the lucky girl that gets to be part of your life, right? And the other women, at least you help them get to the point where their standards are so goddamn high because you help them become better women. That is so important. I tell guys, like, if you're a man of self-development, it's not just helping your guy friends become better guys. You got to help these women become better women. And I want any woman I'm dating to help me bring value to my life. Tell me something I don't see. If my house looks like shit, tell me there's something that could be done better. If you feel like some wall art could look nice on my wall, tell me what it is. If you feel like the playlist I have, it could add a song or whatever, tell me what song it is. And guess what? Now I know a new artist, and I'm probably going to take you to a concert just because you
Mhm.
spoke up and said something. That's game right there. Bars. Swish.
And
What's
I
your whole
think
take on
it's
this?
and I think it's funny too because, like, my husband uses humor with me when I'm
That's my
acting.
style too.
Yeah,
You and your
like, when
husband
I'm
would probably get along very well.
yeah, when I'm acting up because I'm telling you, like, there's days where I act up and I call myself out on it. I'm not a perfect person. We revert back to the easy, like, easy programming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's days where when I'm acting up, he'll just use humor
Uh-huh.
he'll send me a video, right? Or he'll send me a meme or something, or we're just like on the couch and he's like, "Are you okay? Like, are you done?" Like, so
That sounds so much like me too.
yeah, so it's fun because it's not like I never feel offended. And that's the thing that I think a lot of women need to understand. It's like, stop taking yourself so seriously. Like, I
Oh
think
God, it
that
was
a
so
lot of
good.
women I think that a lot of women take themselves so seriously. I'm like, just lighten up a little bit,
Hmm.
laugh. Like, it's okay to laugh. It's really okay. It's actually good for you to laugh.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, sometimes if he is calling you out on your crap, just laugh. Like, just be like, wow, just like the girl responded to you, like, wow,
Hmm.
I was acting like that. And then
Hmm.
it helps because what happens is like you're using humor to lighten the mood and also have like a teachable moment, right?
Hmm.
And so I think it's really valuable. I think humor really helps relationships. We do it all the time. We implement it all the time. Like, we act a fool sometimes, and
Hmm.
we have our own inside jokes of like how like I'll say something dumb or he says something dumb and we'll call it out, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so
I
or we
love
have
that. I
yeah,
love
so
that.
it's fun. It makes it fun, and it doesn't lead to arguments. So something that would originally have led to an argument doesn't lead to an argument. And I realized as well that women create a lot of the issues. I hate I hate saying it, but it's true. I used to start probably 95% of our arguments because I was offended, B, you know, it mostly was because I was offended.
Mhm.
um, or like, yeah, he like said something sideways to me and I took it a different way, or he didn't do something. Like, we create problems in our heads as women. We over analyze a lot of things. Like, that's something that I love about being a woman is like I can analyze multiple things at a certain like, at the same time, like, as many you probably do know this, right? But, like, when a woman can pick up subtleties in the conversation and body language a lot easier than men can.
Yep.
So when I used to pick up on these things, I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, I already know something's immediately wrong with you. You didn't have to say anything, right, for me to know. But that's where, sometimes I have to check myself. Like, I stopped a lot of our arguments. I asked these 3 questions. I talk about it a lot on my channel. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? Does it need to be said right now by me? And so, a lot of the things that come up in relationships don't necessarily need to be said at that moment, right? Like, it can be said at a different time or it can be said by a different person. And so you have to have a level of discernment when it comes to speaking to another person in general, right? Like, you have to have a level of discernment and understand the body language, what's going on with them, right? And humor is a really good way of breaking that barrier to
Mhm.
to that
Yeah,
person.
absolutely.
So,
It's funny, and here's one thing. Some game, excuse me, some game for some men that are listening to this right now. That we so in our men's community, in the manosphere, we were coached that women like unpredictability and they kind of like a roller coaster of emotions, all this kind of stuff. Don't be so predictable. Don't be so lame. Like, have some flavor, or have some like sabor, what they say in Spanish, some flavor and like who you are as a person. So one of the things that I remember doing with this girl that I have my eyes set on a lot. She it's funny, like, we're sending DMs to each other, and she she it's very sexual, but then it gets to the point where she says something. She's like, "I can't stop thinking about you," and I'm just like, "Oh, that's so cute." And then she completely changing everything. So she was not expecting that. She was probably thinking like, "Oh, he's gonna say like, I miss you too," or something like that. But instead, I just completely changed it. She starts cracking up, and she's like, "Come on, you miss me." And I'm like, "I don't know," just like playing around with her and
yeah.
stuff. And that's the kind of humor. Like, here's the thing that, Becca, I think a lot of people don't realize what they're doing is that if you don't build the framework of a strong and healthy relationship, monogamy, not I'm talking about being a fiance or talking about being married just yet. I'm talking about just the framework of a healthy relationship. It all starts when you're casually seeing each other. So that's why I tell guys, You must, if you want to have a girlfriend, you must train her. Like you know, you're using the word, and I'm thank God you're not politically correct about it. So, you know, when you're, and I'll say this, like when you're leading a woman and you're training her to think the way that you think, and you're telling her how the world works in this way where, like, when she's around you, she feels comfortable, she feels safe, she feels like this guy actually knows what the hell he's doing, and I don't feel like it's confusion and anarchy in our relationship, right? There are those moments, you got to have those like moments where you just can laugh at each other, and you guys can like laugh about some, like, you know, something stupid and something really serious, and look at each other and be like, damn, we're so good together, you know? So
Mhm.
I think like all those, you know, you can build some good qualities before a relationship ever starts. And I want to actually ask you like the last question, since we're, you know, it's getting late for you on the East Coast. I know you're pregnant as well, so I don't want to keep you up all
I
night. And
know.
I want to respect you and respect your body. That, like, you know, there's like your baby's probably like, mommy, when are we going to sleep? She's like kicking the stomach
Yeah.
right now. So I want to ask you a final question for the interview. Do you what are some qualities other than the humor that you have between you and your husband? What are some other things that you guys learn along the way of like casually seeing each other until you got into a relationship? Or while maybe you guys were in a relationship, what are some things that you guys discovered about one another that was super important? And thank God you guys discovered it about one another.
Yeah, so I would say, obviously humor was a big one, but I and we already talked about this transparency, right?
Hmm.
We learned how to have courageous conversations, which is something that we learned during premarital counseling. I think too, you know, when you're dating, it's still kind of like the honeymoon phase. Like you have fun, but you're not really thinking about anything more than that. And then when you get engaged, that kind of changes because you're like, wow, I have to now be with this person. Like, I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life. So I
Yep.
better learn everything that I can now. So, like, that phase of our lives, we learned a lot and we had to overcome a lot. So, having courageous conversations that were done in like a group setting and also individually and you know, just together and also with our therapist was very necessary for us. And this is what I tell people all the time, like you can like you need to work on yourself before you can be together, obviously,
Yep.
but when you are also like therapy helps as well when you're together because now you're learning how to be with this person, right? Like when we were dating, it was light, it was fun, it was like I don't know, like we were on cloud 9. We were like I tell my husband, I'm like, "Babe, we were like babies. Like we were like little kids, you know, just like in love." And you have to learn how to like each other, you know? That's something that I learned from, someone who's way older than me. She said, "I don't love my husband, I also like my husband," right? I like this
Bars.
I like this person that I'm with, and that's what I think that a lot of people think that love can take you through to, like, everything. No, hard work, dedication, it's that, like, working together and, like, ABBA says, like, laboring together, right? I think that's very important. And then, I don't know, I loved the fact that he was transparent, that he had humor, that we could just be ourselves. Like, I think today we we're living in a society that is like fake and for Instagram
Mhm.
and everything is transactional. Like I don't agree with this transactional nature that we're or this transactional like atmosphere that we're putting out there, right? And so, some of our best dates were just walking around New York City and like talking to each other. Like,
Yep.
when you can keep it simple, life like that's what life actually is. Like when you're married to that person, it's not glitz and glamour. It's, you know, this sounds really bad, but like farting in bed, like I'm
Yeah, all that stuff. I was literally talking about defecating with one of the girls one time, and I literally was like telling her like she starts cracking up. And literally, I remember she drew me a bath one time, and I'm in the bathtub, and like in her apartment, I'm in the bathtub, and I'm relaxed, I'm relaxing, and I started acting like a freaking SpongeBob me. I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing over there?" And she just starts cracking up, being stupid, being
Yeah.
silly, like just being absolutely silly, like fart jokes, poop jokes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Like we walk like when my husband and I first started dating, like I would be in the shower and he'd be on the toilet. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I was like, that was the first time anyone has ever like a man has ever done that with me. That
Yeah.
sounds really weird, but like
Yeah.
but it was like a whole new level of intimacy where it's
Hmm.
like, wow, we're that comfortable with each other that like
Oh yeah.
this is cool, I've never had that or just, I don't know, it's just like we see each other in all of our glory.
Yes. Yes, we're human beings. It's okay. It's biology. It's nature. It's human nature. It's
Yeah.
fine. And it's funny. She even said, she's like, what? She's like, were you literally pooping like while I was waiting? Cause I was like making food. She's like, I was making food. And were you literally pooping? Cause it took you like longer. Cause usually what you do is like you just pee with the door open, but instead you close the door and you told me I got to go to the bathroom. So were you
Yeah.
pooping? And I'm like, yeah, I was. She's like, why does it not even smell in the bathroom right now? And I'm like, just like, you know what? I'm like, I'll keep this conversation going. Let's just keep
Yeah.
it going. And she was just literally crack. We were just cracking up the whole freaking time and just being absolutely silly with each other. And it's that again, we got to, as human beings in the end, with all this conversation we had, it's like, yes, there's some structure, there's some formality, and there's some things you got to do to work on yourself. But in the end, when you're in a relationship or you're going to be in a marriage, like, Becca and her husband are, it's not always going to be like I'm macho man and I'm always like looking pristine and looking cool. Look, I come back from my restaurant business and I smell like freaking food. And
Yeah.
one and this girl that I'm seeing right now, I respect her so much for this. I told her this. I praised her. I said, she came up to me and she gave me the biggest kiss and she gave me a hug, and she's like, I'm so happy to see you again, because she came back from out of town. And I was giving her a nice firm hug, and I said, I'm so happy to see you also. And I got to give you a lot of respect. The fact that I smell like literally burritos and tacos right now, but thank you so much for giving me a hug and kissing me, and not being offended by like my smell or getting turned off by it. She's like, I don't care. I just like, I want to hug you. See, that's like, for all the guys that are listening. If you got a woman that is like that, that's thinking like this,
Yeah.
woo wee, that is, she's on the right track. Do not cut a girl off like that. Like, that girl is on the right track. And there's more to find out if she's still that compatible partner for you. But that right there is beautiful.
Yeah, it's we have to you have to remember that we're humans. We
Yes.
live life and this year I lost so in January I lost my dad. And it's been a very hard year for me. Like it's been an emotional roller coaster, right? And we got married this year. Like we've been together for 3 years, but we got married in 2020 during a global pandemic. Like, we didn't expect life to throw us what it did, and that's what that's what marriage is about, is like dealing with these ups and downs. It's, I'm gaining weight because I'm getting pregnant, like, or I'm pregnant. Like, my husband and I are not going to look like models like we used to when we first started dating, when he would be at the gym for like 2 hours a day. Like, you know, where we our bodies are going to change, our lives are going to change. We're going to have a newborn baby. Like life is not going to look the same. So you have to go through these ebbs and flows and find someone that will go through those ebbs and flows with you, because it's really hard to do life by yourself. And this is why I encourage people to like kind of put this silly stuff aside, the game, the, materialistic things for women. These things don't matter when push comes to shove and when you need someone there, when you're literally broken and don't know what to do because you just lost the most one of the most important people in your life. And my husband was there. You want to talk about alpha male? He was the rock that I needed and that stability that I needed when my whole life and my world was falling apart.
Wow.
And it was something like, we're supposed to be in our honeymoon phase and we've experienced so much life in the last 3 years of being together, you know. And so I encourage people to start like putting down these barriers that we like to put up for for protection, right? Like, yes, there are some people that are bad people, both men and women, and that do not deserve your love and do not deserve your attention and care and respect. But there are good men and women that are out there. And you have to have a level of discernment, of intentionality when it comes to dating and understand what your morals and values are, right? And if that person doesn't align with your morals and values and what you stand for, just keep it moving. Like, I don't understand why we're trying to do this whole toxic back and forth thing and like trying to get him to sleep with you or cheat on this and do that. I'm like, just keep it pushing. Like, that's what I tell people. And that's what I tell women. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, he doesn't want to text you back. Move on. Like, it's not a big deal. And, you know, that's not what that's not what's going to take you to that toxic behavior is not what that's not what's going to carry you through a marriage. That's not what's going to carry you through the hard times in your life when you need that person there to support you, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Yeah,
I
facts. There's this one video. I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram Reels. And Instagram Reels, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like TikTok videos, like short clips. And there's this one girl who's on TikTok, and she's like singing a Nicki Minaj song where the Nicki Minaj lyrics are literally like, "If a guy's being toxic with you, go ahead and f his best friend." And in my head, and I cut off the part where and this is like a very attractive Latino looking girl, like very attractive physically too, and I'm just looking at her. I'm like, oh my God, this like there's so many other girls that are watching this. They're gonna be like, oh, sure, I'm gonna do whatever this girl says. She's slay queen. And then there's the dudes who are like, oh, well, if she wants to go ahead and use me, well, I'm gonna use other girls. I'm gonna f her best friend. And I'm like, dude,
it
oh
just
man, there needs to be people like, and this is a perfect way to conclude this episode because we need people like Becca and I to save the world. And then Allie also, if Allie's still there, Allie is saving the world. But it was so lit. And by the way, Arlene was the one that showed me Allie's profile. So I don't know if Arlene, if you're still there, but when I saw that, I was like, I had a field day with Allie's profile. I started like uploading like every single post she had. I'm like, thank God, finally a woman, besides you, Becca, that is literally posting like the real shit. And Allie like is like has all these really good posts. And I'm gonna have a live stream with Allie later down the road. So shout out to Allie, and she's still in the chat. What's up, Allie? So we need
yeah,
people
and
like. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, and Allie's and I met we became friends, internet friends
Internet
too,
friends, yes.
Allie and I. And I must say that she brings the facts all the time. So,
Yep.
it's great because I'm a very like I think of I'm very much different where I'm like I assess the outside world and everything and then I make conclusions. Allie's like, okay, where are the stats? Where are the figures? Where are the So it's cool to see more women in the space talking about this and having a lot of facts and having a lot to support the claims and not just saying, not just
Mm-hmm.
saying what they're feeling, but also have things to support what they're saying. But yeah, I love
Absolutely.
Allie. Shout
It's
out to
literally,
Allie.
yeah, shout out to Ali. It's literally on us, Becca, and everybody, and Ali, and Arlene, who's supporting our content. We gotta save the world. We gotta help men and women understand the truth. Understand, everyone has a role in this society. There's nothing wrong with man being the way man is and woman being the way woman is. It's okay. Don't worry, we'll hold we'll figuratively hold your hand throughout the process, and we'll guide you guys to the right direction. So, Becca, to conclude the episode, where can everybody find you? Instagram, do you have like a website or anything like that? YouTube channel? I know you got your YouTube channel. That's how I found you. So can you share with us like where everybody can get connected with you?
Yeah, so on YouTube, just type in Rebecca Barrett. I'm sure it's the first one that's there. Um, and you can connect with me on Instagram at I am Rebecca Barrett. It's pretty simple, straightforward. And I usually check my DMs. So if you DM me, I've been getting a lot more and more recently. So I'm a little backlogged, but um, especially women, I'm gonna actually start a um, like a consultation type of thing
Yeah,
where I can.
finally.
I know my life is so stressful right now. I'm like trying to just keep up. But a lot of women have reached out to me for counseling and for, help and stuff like that. I don't counsel men, so I'm sorry about that. Men with the men, women with the women.
They come to me. Send the men my
Yes.
way. Sure,
Yeah.
sure to Grand Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. So I try to mentor women. So if you're a woman and you've been watching the stream and just reach out to me, I usually respond. Um, and if you have any questions, but I'm hoping to get my calendar set up to take on calls with women in the near future.
Yeah,
Just
if you see, by the way, you know how you know it's Rebecca Barrett on YouTube? If you see the thumbnail with her like pointing like at the camera like that to a fresh and fit like thumbnail, yeah, like that or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Like a little like one of those like female poses, like or something like that. Yeah, that's how you know you're on the right page. If you see the lovely Rebecca Barrett that just literally spat some major game for all you ladies that were privileged to even come across this video right now. I'm telling you right now, this is privileged information. Like this, do you know the shit is not mainstream? You know you had to dig deep to find Rebecca Barrett and to find even me and go on this channel. So I want to say shout out to the chat. Thank you, Marcus, by the way, for posting Rebecca's Instagram. I'm going to put that again. Guys, make sure you follow Rebecca. Rebecca has I told Rebecca this from the beginning. Like, you are going to go viral. You're going to go far. You're going to be huge. And same with Ali. Like, if you and Ali both, like, I know Ali is going to get to your point eventually, and she's going to exceed. And I know you're going to exceed as well. So if you two ladies, like, keep doing what you're doing, like, you guys, I really hope you guys hit mainstream and get mainstream numbers. So then you can also debate the other dating coaches or debate observationalists that are part of the YouTube sphere that have a difference in opinion, and they could use a difference, or they could see a different way of looking into life, which is the truth, which is what Rebecca thinks and how Ali thinks and how Arlene in the chat thinks and how I think.
yeah, it's really funny because I've invited some feminists and other people to come onto my channel and no one has accepted. So I have to I'll keep asking people to interview with me. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna bring Allie onto my channel as well to do an interview, maybe do a live like this. And you have to come onto my channel as well.
Yes.
We gotta keep this going.
Absolutely. And I was gonna say, like, I even have Blog Talk Radio. So we didn't get any calls on this episode. It's okay. I'm gonna, keep working my way up until I get somebody to call onto the show. It takes courage to call into a show and ask a question. So I'm not gonna discount that. But definitely, I would love to come on your channel and do like a live stream. And we can even have girls calling into the show and asking questions. I think that would be great. We can utilize my account and make that happen.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That would
so
be
guys,
fun.
for sure. So, guys, I want to say thank you so much to all the men and women that were watching the stream. Thank you very much for staying till the end. If you're watching on the replay, thank you guys for watching this. You can follow me on Instagram. It's the Grand Cam. Again, it's ITS, the Grand Cam. I also have my own podcast Instagram channel called The Grand Mail, which was where Instagram Live was just playing and randomly got cut off. I think thanks to the censors and all the the world that we're dealing with. Guys, if you need any kind of assistance, guidance to like how to be a real man for all the men that are watching this, I will help you. Ladies, I get questions from other women that I get questions from women that want to know from a man's perspective how to go about, let's say, a man who's maybe playing them or is manipulating them, or is he really into them? I can help you with that too. My DMs are open. Feel free to hit me up with a message. I'll be happy to help you out. Guys, it was a great evening. Again, Becca, you killed it. You did a great job, and looking forward to more streams with Becca, and looking forward to seeing all you guys in the future. Everyone have a great evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.